Hey guys, it's QuickyBaby and welcome back to World of Tanks, and this time I'm playing in the AMX 30 prototype, a tier 9 French medium tank. You guys have probably seen this on the channel before, definitely one of my favorites. We're going to have an awesome round here on Malinovka in a very balanced game. Pretty much a third of the enemy tier 10, a third at tier 9 and a third propping up the bottom at tier 8. Quite nice and balanced as you would like. So, the AMX 30 prototype, why is it one of my favorites? Gosh, you know, it's absolutely ridiculously fast. This thing goes at 65 kilometers an hour. It's also pretty darn accurate, 0.33 accuracy. It has APCR rounds as standard on a tier 9 tank, which is always lovely. 260 millimeters of penetration, way better than the M46 pattern. And also fly towards the target rapidly with 1,525 meters a second shell velocity. Combine this with a pretty darn good rate of fire of 6.06 and you have like this great all-rounder. The only real downside to this tank, I feel, is that it only has 8 degrees of gun depression, which isn't entirely competitive for a tier 9 medium tank when you compare it to, for example, the M46 or if you compare it to the Centurion 7.1. When you think about it, the Centurion 7.1 is pretty similar to this vehicle apart from it's a bit slower. It can only go at 40 kilometers an hour. It does have those 2 extra degrees of gun depression, but the main difference between this and the Centurion 7.1 is that this fires 6 rounds a minute, whereas that vehicle fires 5, giving this vehicle just that little bit extra DPM. Well, to think about it, actually 20% DPM isn't a small amount to be able to work its way through trouble. So, playing on Malinovka, I really like to use this position at the start of the game. From here, what you can do is you can use these bushes to spot along here. As you can see, we spotted the object 263 and also an AMX 5100. Now, they're going to be sitting in these bushes, which means that whenever you work your way up into them, you have to be extra careful. Make sure you don't go this way because there's actually a tiny little gap, and if you're in a large tank, this gap can actually get you spotted. Well, at least from my feeling it is. So what you want to do is to drive this way into the bush, or alternatively go along here to be able to go up into the bush, and I feel like that will give you the best chance to not get spotted. From here as well, you do have shots up onto the hill. However, when Malinovka was changed quite a while ago now, they really did give the eastern spawn a lot more cover getting up onto the hill. So you have to be very, very quick with your shots. You only get probably about a second or two to be able to make them happen in small opportunities. But with that 260 millimeters of penetration that we have, the sides of those turrets, even on the heavy tanks, cannot compare. And again, that 0.33 accuracy and fairly darn good gun dispersion with 2.3 seconds aim time allows you to be very precise with this tank, which is one of the key reasons why I love it. And we haven't taken any damage. We've done 1,913. We've also managed to get a few spots for our team and try and lock down a little bit of vision from this position. There we go. There's the object 263. We definitely spotted him there for our team. I don't think it's possible. Actually, maybe the bat chat would have been able to see it from there, but I thought it was us. So we spot the AMX 5100 trying to run away. We put a shot into him. He spots us, and I don't know whether I can be cheeky enough to get a shot into him. But this is another aspect of the tank. Oh gosh, our shell just flies a little bit high. This is another aspect of the tank that I truly do love. Look, I'm showing it off right now. That is the gun depression over the back of the tank. 8 degrees of gun depression, I believe, over the back of the tank makes this vehicle just so darn flexible. A lot of you will have noticed in the Centurion Action 10 video that I did, I think it was last week, right? Or was it the start of this week? I tell you what, I'm still reeling from the epic stream that I had on Tuesday with Jingles. It was a great success, but more on that later. But I showcased the Centurion Action 10 has terrible gun depression over the back because it has a big old butt, right? The AMX 30, it's quite sleek, you know, the French, a little bit more sleek than possibly the Brits and the Americans, and so they get to depress over the rear quite well. Anyway, I hope you understand where I'm going with this. Now we're going to try and put a round into the T10. Lovely shot there. Now, unfortunately, our team seems to be melting. I don't really feel like... Is this because I haven't got stuck into the game fast enough? I picked up 3,000 damage in 4.5 minutes, and I felt like I was locking down vision over a good part of the map, trying to deny them an area of control. But, nevertheless, really, Malinovka is won and lost on top of the hill, and if you're lucky enough to be in a heavy tank or a vehicle with a nice turret that doesn't have a prominent cupola on top of it like this one, then you'll probably do best to go up on top of the hill. However, this is one of the things that I've learned about Malinovka. It was a while ago that I really figured this out. I got shot by a Jagdpanzer E100 when I was pretty much in a hold down location on the hill. And this absolutely baffled me. I'll see if I can show you what I'm talking about. I was here, and I believe I was in a T110E3, and a Jagdpanzer E100 managed to kill me from down below, and I had no idea how he managed to do this. And that's because there's a little bit of a ridge hill that pops up here, and you can use this position and this ridge line here to be able to get shots at people as they come down from the hill rather safely without hopefully getting spotted. You'll see that I'm pulling back behind the bushes, and we're going to be able to put a round through here on the T-34. Yeah, that one goes in. And one thing that I must apologize about for the rest of this replay is that I do fire quite a lot of heat rounds. So an apology for that. If you're someone who disagrees with the whole premium ammunition mentality, then I'm going to apologize for this. God, the E100 absolutely slams one home. 805 damage done there to us. That is not very welcome. And we bounce one of our heat rounds off the side of his turret. Good job there by the E100. He's using his armor very effectively indeed. He manages to bounce us and puts a good round into... He bounces our shells, so to say, and puts a good round into us, and that is punishing. I pretty much lost half my hit points. Well, almost exactly half my hit points with a single round there. We kind of fire a little bit late against the VK. One of our allies manages to take him out. And we put a round into the IS-3 there, but it's not quite enough to take him down. And this game, we've turned it back to being neck and neck now, really. So, great result here. So, really, if the enemies just sit on top of the hill there, they just get picked apart one by one. Both from the position that the Skoda is in over here and also the position that I'm in. If you get to have a crossfire between these two positions and you maintain vision on top of the hill, frankly, there's not much that they can do. Now, the key advantage for me right now is that I still have my artillery left alive. And so that means that I can afford to try and poke for vision without even necessarily risking taking the shot. And our artillery should be able to put some rounds in. And this E100, you know, he's on 3 kills. They've also got a 263 who's marauding around the, should we say, the usual base camping location for a standard map. But I do get spotted making that shot. That's an absolute disaster. The E100 spots us, and now I have to start retreating. Oh, the 263 has actually made his way across the field. He takes a swing at me, but luckily it's a miss. So from here, what are we able to do? We can aim at his lower plate. Unfortunately, the shell goes a little high. You know what? It's actually quite challenging to be able to hit the weak points on a 263 at this kind of range. However, it looks like we had a bit of his side armor there. I decided to just fire another round while retreating. And oh no, the Jagdpanzer E100, surely he's going to spot me here. And you see, I actually act surprised. I'm very surprised that I do not get spotted by the Jagdpanzer E100 there. Maybe he's got bad view range. Maybe it's because we've got a full camo crew. Anyway, I'm not complaining. Let's try and put some rounds into him. Oh, come on. These heat rounds aren't really doing me much justice, are they? I think I've only put 2 in out of the last 10 rounds that I fired or something stupid like that. How outrageous. But luckily, this tank carries a load of ammunition. 47 rounds. That is a gigantic amount of ammunition to carry for a 105mm caliber gun. Finally, we find the side of the Object 263, and our artillery puts in a good round. But unfortunately for our Skoda T50, it is all too little, too late. Luckily, the 263 misses us. We miss his lower plate. And right now, I'm in a situation where I'm the only tank left alive with the support of a self-propelled gun against 4 enemy vehicles. And 3 of those enemy vehicles are higher tier than me. Now it looks like I get hit by the IS-3. The Jagdpanzer E100 takes a swing, but it misses. And this is where I just have to try and deal with this 263. He's got 392 hit points. It's a 50-50 whether I'm going to kill him in a single shot. Well, do you know what? In this kind of a situation, let's try and work out what the probabilities are of winning this kind of game. Well, that's a 50-50. I just rolled a dice. I flipped a coin. Luckily, it landed in my favor. If it hadn't, it's very likely the 263 would have continued to push over the ridge and be able to take me out. Here's another coin flip. All of those rounds that I fired at the E100 earlier, hey, we managed to put a round into him. So what were the chances of that shell hitting the E100? Maybe 1 in 3, 1 in 4? Gosh, are we already up to like probably like a 1 in 10 chance of getting those kind of hits there? But to be honest, the only real important one was the shot into the 263. Luckily, my artillery goes down, distracting the E100 to enable me to take him out. And also, he takes a hit from the Jagdpanzer 100, which allows me to gain distance from my opponents. And that is the most important thing to do right now. Obviously, Jagdpanzer 100, a gigantic fat tank, and gigantic fat tanks generally have really bad camo rating. My sexy, sleek French Tier 9 medium tank, however, which is quite low profile, has infinitely better camo rating. And also, because I've spec'd my crew to be able to get a rather nice view range using, well, this obviously isn't spec'ing my crew, but I use coated optics on this tank, which gives me 10% increased view range. I've got obviously, Brothers in Arms, this is one of my favorite tanks, so I've got a 5-skill crew on it. I've got things like situational awareness, recon. I'm also using coffee as a premium consumable. This means that my view range is very, very high, and I've also got camouflage crew as well, which will mean that increases the distance that a Jagdpanzer 100 would spot me in the first place. Luckily for me, this is an encounter variant of Malinovka, and even if it wasn't, it wouldn't really make too much of a difference. And so the enemies, or at least one of them, have showed their intentions and also their position. And I know some rather nice bushes on Malinovka where hopefully we're going to be able to spot our opponents and start to whittle them down. Now remember, that Jagdpanzer 100 is on 1,308 damage. Oh well, damage, health even. That's damage that I have to do to him. Now what I'm doing here is something that I always highlight when it comes up in videos, because this is one of the key game mechanics in World of Tanks that you can use to basically outplay your opponents. You go forwards into the bush. When you're in the bush, you can see through the bush. Then what you need to do is to pull back behind the bush, and when the bush is no longer transparent, there you go, we should be able to see through it. We spot him, we pull back. Now the bush is not transparent, we can shoot through the bush without getting spotted. And so that means that we've put 2 rounds into this Jagdpanzer 100. His 1,300 health has now become 514. That means that I still need to put 2 rounds into him. I'm firing chancy shots here, hoping that my heat rounds just fly true and go into his lower plate. But as we can see now, what has happened is the Jagdpanzer 100 has managed to get 445 meters away from me, which is the maximum spotting distance in the game. Even if your view range is over 9,000, you're still not going to be able to see a tank beyond 445 meters. But that doesn't mean that you shouldn't try to increase your view range as much as possible, because it counteracts camo rating. Here we go, we're lining up the kill on the IS-3. Great shot in there, 292 damage done, and kill secured. Alright, we've changed a 2 versus 4 engagement, well, against higher tier tanks now, into a 1 versus 1. There's 2 minutes and 36 seconds left on the game, but unfortunately, due to either my poor marksmanship or my, should we say, more risky, chancy shots that I've been making this game, that means that we're running low on ammunition. We only have 1 heat round left. Luckily, the Jagdpanzer 100 doesn't even know where I am, and that's because the last time I was spotted was by the Object 263, would you believe it or not? And through clever use of game mechanics, bushes, and frankly just outpositioning our opponents with our mobility, and outspotting them with our view range and our camo. What? Are you actually serious? Alright, I have no idea how that missed his lower plate. What a disaster. It must have gone slightly left and hit his track. And now the pressure really is on. I no longer have the luxury of firing those heat rounds that are fantastic against very thick German armor. Now I'm going to have to do with APCR rounds. Will we find his lower plate this time? Oh, it's just a tracking shot, but I make a decision. Now that I see that he's tracked there, that should allow me to be able to progress across. What I need to do right now is I need to get the side of his tank. I've got 1 minute and 30 seconds left on this game. I really don't want to cock it up right now. 6,200 damage and 3 kills against higher tiered opponents, but I really want to finish this Jägeru. I decide that hopefully the camo will break my view range and I'll be able to get it. And fortunately for me, he was facing towards the cap circle, and I didn't get spotted until the very end of the game. I believe the Jagdpanzer 100 must have thought that I was here killing him and the IS-3. He probably didn't realize, or maybe he thought that I flanked around to here to kill the IS-3, and that's why he was angling his armor towards this way, because that's where he thought that I was. And it's generally what you don't see coming that hits you hardest, and we managed to take out this Jagdpanzer 100 from 1,300 health with the support of an IS-3 without getting spotted until the very last moment. Now certainly luck did contribute to me being able to take down this victory, but then again, you probably do have to get a little lucky to be able to shut down 3 higher tier tanks when you're literally a one-shot. But hopefully you guys appreciated this more in-depth look into different positions on Malinovka and how you can use them to counter your opponents. So a great result here for the AMX 30 prototype. We got a high caliber and a Confederate for our 6,819 damage done, 1,551 base experience points, and also 4 kills as well. We certainly did fire a lot of ammunition this game, and a lot of those rounds were very chancy. 32 hits and only 19 of those penetrated, considering it was 260mm of APCR penetration and 330mm of heat penetration I was firing. Unfortunately for us, every single round that hit our tank did go in, and we didn't get any of those funky auto ricochet angles that you can get off the well-angled frontal armor. One thing I should also highlight is I did 3,900 damage upon detecting, so we were also spotting for our team. I must mention, however, that I did fire a hell of a lot of ammunition this game, including a lot of premium rounds, which I don't usually need to use in the AMX 30 prototype, so we lost 47,000 credits. Playing like this is not sustainable. But then again, how often are you in situations where you have to take down 3 vehicles that are higher tier than you? And then again, this is one of my favorite vehicles with my 5-skill crew, so I guess I can't feel too bad about spending some credits in this. I'll make it up other places. Also, just a massive thank you to all of you who tuned in on Tuesday. I had an absolute blast, and it looks like you guys did as well. We had between about 14 and 18,000 people watching for pretty much 5 hours. Hopefully you guys are enjoying the bonus code, and I must apologize to all of the players from the North American server who tuned in to watch the stream that it wasn't redeemable on the North American server. It was a complete cock-up. I was only told the day before that it might not happen, and then an hour into the stream they were still telling me that it might happen, and it was just a complete mess. So my promise to you is that I'm going to try and do everything that I can to get North America to agree to let the code work on both regions, and if their answer is no, then I will make sure that I tell you several days before such a stream happens again. But anyway, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please consider giving it a like. It really helps the channel out. And if you want to see more awesome tier 9 French medium tank gameplay, then simply click through up here to see a variety of AMX 30 prototype games. And let me know in the comments down below if you tuned in on the Tuesday livestream. Do you have any feedback? Was it your first time there? Are you a regular? Did you really enjoy it? Do you want to see it again? Maybe there are things that you think that I should do differently. What would you like to see? And as always, thank you so much for watching. You've been epic, and hopefully I'll see you soon.